Biohacking, it's not just about being well, it's about being more than well. It's the power to transform yourself. Are we ready?
I'm Dave Asprey, and this is Biohacking. Hi, I'm Dave Asprey, the father of biohacking. And people call me that because this is a new movement in society, and it's a new word in the English language that I created. In this episode, you're going to learn about fitness and exercise, but they are not what you think they are. And it's not about struggle, it's not about suffering, it's not about forcing yourself to go to the gym with willpower. Turns out that muscle mass is one of the greatest predictors of longevity. So if you have more muscle up to a certain level anyway, you're just gonna live longer because you can handle whatever life brings your way, and I want you to have that. So in this episode, I'm going to teach you how to structure your exercise routine to put on muscle and to lose fat in the least possible amount of time without over-exercising and over-stressing your body. Today, most people either don't exercise at all because they figured out it doesn't work very well, or people exercise all the time. Neither one of those is where you want to be. I want you to get great returns on very small amounts of exercise. Most of us, we're just doing it all wrong. One of the things that's confusing is that exercise is not the same thing as moving around. You can go for a walk with your kids. It's just not exercise. You moved, and movement is good for you, and usually more movement is better. In order for something to be exercise, it has to cause the body to transform. And that means it must be brief, it must be intense, it must be infrequent, not every day, it must be safe, and it must be purposeful. And one of the reasons you want to do this is that exercise increases BDNF. That stands for brain-derived nootropic factor. This is the stuff in your brain that gives you a young person's brain. It makes you neuroplastic so you can learn. So if you exercise the way I just described infrequently, you'll have a brain that can adapt better to the world you live in. And when it comes to cardio, people think that cardio helps you lose fat quickly. That's actually not how it works. It's true that having better cardio capacity extends your lifespan. There's a measure called VO2 max, which is how much oxygen your body can use at one time. That is a measure of longevity, but turns out more cardio is not better. You've probably heard people saying, get your 10,000 steps per day in. Well, I was the CTO and co-founder of the first fitness tracker that could get your heart rate from your wrist. And so I went and I looked deep on the data. In the 1950s, a Japanese company, the first company to make a pedometer, invented that 10,000 steps rule so they could sell their tech. There is no scientific evidence behind 10,000 steps per day. That's just marketing. When I weighed 300 pounds, I believe that stuff, I would push myself. I made a sacred commitment that I was going to lose the weight. So I went to the gym 6 days a week, no matter what, and I went for 90 minutes a day. 45 minutes of weights, 45 minutes of cardio. I skipped Sundays. I also cut my calories, I cut my fat, and at the end of 18 months of this, 702 hours in the gym, I still had a 46-inch waist. I was still fat, and I could max out most of the machines. But I didn't know that steady state cardio, the treadmills I like to do, equals wear and tear on your joints and ligaments. Researchers at Yale Medicine found that at least 50% of runners are injured each year, and they think the number may be much higher. Running and chronic cardio teaches your heart to beat faster and to move less blood per beat. But if you're a powerful, healthy animal or human, the healthiest state is to be able to move a lot of blood per heartbeat. So cardio teaches your heart to go blip, blip, blip. And if you do weight training and appropriate types of cardio, not the long distance cardio, in a single heartbeat, you can transform your blood flow. So cardio doesn't equal strength. It also turns out we like to believe that doing more of something gives us better results. But what the body really listens to is what I call slope of the curve inputs. What that means is that if you can turn on a stressor, like sprinting or picking up something heavy, if you can do that very quickly to the point of exhaustion and then recover faster than Mother Nature would expect, then you're sending this beautiful signal into the body that says, a tiger might have eaten you, that's why you did something hard, but now you're really safe. because you return to baseline quickly. So that's a signal to change. And as long as you had your minerals, as long as you had your protein and you had your fat, your body has what it takes, and the signal, you put those together, you get rapid transformation. As an example, we know that high-intensity interval training works well in less time. We used to think just go for a run for an hour, but now we understand that if you were to do 5 one-minute sprints with a break in between, you get better results in less time, but it's still miserable. Well, using AI, you can figure out exactly what curve causes humans to change the most, and the results ought to upset you. It turns out that if you use AI, you come up with something called ReHIT, which is a core technology behind my fitness franchise that's opening across the country. ReHIT stands for Reduced Exertion High-Intensity Training. In this kind of training, it's 2 20-second sprints without sweating over a 5-minute period. If you do that 3 times a week, 15 minutes per week, that's as much time as you spend brushing your teeth, you improve your cardiac capacity by 12%. If you did an hour a day, you would improve by 5%. ReHIT improves insulin sensitivity and it increases your VO2 max, which is the core fitness for cardiovascular capacity. But 15 minutes a week of that kind of exercise, which requires no sweating, will increase your VO2 max by 12%, which is equal to about 2 years of healthy lifespan. If you were to do an hour a day of chronic cardio, you would improve by 2%. 6 times more results in 15 minutes versus an hour a day of suffering on a spin bike. That is why this episode is so important for you. You probably don't go to the gym enough, and if you do go to the gym, you might go too much, but you just learned a way to get 6 times better results in the amount of time you spend brushing your teeth. This is what AI and tech is doing. This is why biohacking is so important. The technical details of ReHIT is that you're causing very rapid depletion of something called glycogen in your cells. This is the carbohydrate storage. And that releases signaling molecules, including PGC1 alpha, which is a sign that your body exercised, and something called AMPK. And this tells your cells to make more energy-producing mitochondria. This works best with the AI bike that I use at Upgrade Labs, but you can do it at home. To get the full details on how to do ReHIT at home for free, go to daveasprey.com. It's all there for you. There's another way to speed up a cardio workout, and I do it sometimes. I strap on a mask and I inhale pure oxygen to get more energy and more exercise in less time. Studies show that breathing hyperoxic air enables higher intensity training, and it creates significant improvements in power output compared to breathing regular air. This is another hack that you may have available to you, and these biohacks will become part of how we transform ourselves over the next 10 years. You just get early access because you're here on this episode. So let's talk about resistance training. Inside your muscles, you have something called proprioceptors. And these are little networks of intelligence that your muscles use to know where they are in space and what's safe. So your muscle has its own brain. Your elbow has its own brain. And they're constantly watching what you do to see how much you're lifting in case it might be dangerous. And since you might wobble when you're holding a dumbbell, then it knows that it needs to hold back. So your proprioceptors are lying to you to make sure that you're safe. You have way more strength and potential, but your body won't let you access that. So you can use technologies or techniques to show your body that you can get past a certain level, so it raises your strength threshold. What that means is that if you can remove or change that acceleration of gravity, the things that your proprioceptors are sensing, you can push your muscles to those new levels. So if you work out, say, with dumbbells, you won't be tricking your proprioceptors, but you can get better results than normal by focusing on the eccentric part of your lift. So if you were to do a dumbbell curl, you want to go up at whatever speed you go up, but you want at least 10 seconds to lower the weight. So that means you spend more time fighting gravity. And you want to do the number of reps it takes to reach exhaustion, which is usually about 10. You don't need to do 30 or 40 reps. There's also another kind of exercise that works better than just picking up rocks, which is what dumbbells really are. They're concentrated rocks turned into iron. You can use isometric exercise. So with this, you recruit as many muscle fibers at once as you can. It can even help to lower blood pressure. Isometric exercise means you're pushing against something that won't move. You can push against your hands like this. This is an isometric exercise. And you can do all sorts of things, even like a plank, where you're just holding a position. And that changes things, so you put on muscles more quickly than doing things at the normal speed. You can stand in a narrow hallway and push as hard as you can against one wall while bracing against the other. There is no gravity in there, so your body feels that it's safe to push harder, and you actually will push harder. Another hack that works ridiculously well is resistance bands. So if now you're lifting something and you're pushing against a stretchy piece of latex, it doesn't act like gravity, so the body has to recalibrate and readjust, and it grows muscle more quickly. My job is to teach you how to build muscle very quickly so that you can spend less time exercising and more time becoming conscious, more time with your kids, more time in service to others. I just don't want you to waste time in the gym getting very few results per minute of effort. If you just love going to the gym, well, keep going. No one's going to judge you for that, but most of us are balancing gym against kids, against learning, against work, against art, against all these other things. You can do both.